Okay, so this video is going to be about the multiple versions of yourselves from past and the future and how they can help you in the present. This was a huge thing for me when I had like a moment in the summer where I was very like upset and I was like crying really, really hard and I couldn't I started having like a panic attack and I couldn't breathe and I was like going through like just the hardest time. And this was actually the moment where I was like, I don't want to be this version of myself anymore. And I was crying so hard and I was like hyperventilating. And so then I was like, okay, like I need to calm down. So I just imagined like all these like different versions of myself, like from the past, like from the futures, like the little me version, the teenage version, the one who dated this person, the one who was doing this stuff, the one who was friends with these people, all these different ages of me, my future self, what I imagined she would be like. And I just imagined like me in my bedroom crying and holding myself and them all coming together and giving me support and like giving me hugs and, touching my arm. And in that moment, I like calmed down. And it was also the moment I decided I want to be this version of myself. The thing is, though, like, you're never the same version. You're always changing. Like every second of your life, you are another version of you. And as you continue to grow and expand in your life, you will be constantly different versions. But it's like became so important to me that I started to use it like, when I'm going through tough times, a lot when I'm like walking, I'll think and I'll imagine like, okay, what would a conversation with my future self look like? And I imagine like my present self now talking to my future self and her telling me, things about my future that can assist me now. And that like we get through it. Like, this ends up happening. And the thing is like, it's so like visualizing that and seeing that is very healing because like what I envision my future self to be like, she's more wise, and she's has these amazing habits that I'm trying to consistently do and she knows what happens. She knows that we come out on the other end and she knows what's on the other side. So it's very like, when I'm thinking of like things that I'm like going through and I need like advice and stuff, I think, okay, what would my future self be? Because I know deep down like what my future self wants and what they have in the future. Because if you can feel it and think it, you have it. You're just not on the same reality where you have it yet, not the same frequency to attract it yet. So that's why it's super, like, for me, really important that I keep having conversations with my future self, because then it keeps me goal oriented to where I want to be in the future. Like, how do I want to dress? What do I see her look like? Like, how does she act? How does she talk? I know that my future self, she would have confidence and she would be a very amazing speaker. And, it's funny too, because I'm starting these videos and this is video 3. And my future self in like a year doing these videos, it's going to be, amazing to see. Like, she's going to be communicating better. She'll have learned more discussion could happen. So like, it's very cool when you start thinking about life like that and the different versions that you are throughout. Another thing I implemented was like, I love journaling. And before in the past, I have like written like a little birthday note for me, but now I'm going to consistently do it. So last birthday, I was like, okay, I'm going to write, I'm 32 and I just turned 32 in November. So not just, but so I wrote in my journal like a letter about being the last day of being 31, sorry, and what I look forward to for being 32. And like, it's an amazing feeling to know that you right now can control who you will end up being in the future. And the more you visualize who you want to be and how you see yourself, the more attainable it is to be that person. So another thing that I did was, because it's like I had this like I didn't want to be the version I was that was heartbroken, that was like treated this way, that allowed it, that couldn't control her emotions. And I was like, okay, like I want to be a different version. So I wrote down lists. I actually have 2 lists because I needed to readjust. but habits of my future self. So I wrote down a list and then I just started like implementing different parts of those habits. I'm not fully on them all. Like I still want to consistently meditate. And there's a few things on that list too that I want to work on. But just to get like a clear image of where I'm going and who I want to be, and then writing it down. And it's fun to imagine that you could be this whole new version of yourself. You can keep all these amazing good parts of you and then expand and just become this like better version of yourself and wiser. And it's fun and exciting to look forward to and to work towards that every day and to keep it in your mind every day. Okay, like, would my future self do this? The other thing too is it's with versions of yourself. Now, this is like, I'm talking a lot about the future, but then you also have your past versions. So when I was in that room in my room and I was heartbroken and I imagined all these versions, I imagined all of the other versions of myself too that were younger. The past versions that didn't know better, and they all came to me because you know what? All my versions are very kind, compassionate versions. Like I'm just a kind, compassionate person. So naturally, I can imagine that they would all stand there and they would all, be there with me and hold me and, give me support by touching me and being there. And like just my visualization for like the past and the future versions of me is getting so good now that like I can see like the inner child and like what she looks like. And so when I start like getting like, anxiety and all that, which I had today, I had to like, I literally talked to myself like I was talking to a little kid version of myself, because basically that's what it is. And I just imagine like, I'm like, we're safe. This is not important right now. I know it feels super important right now. It feels so big right now, but it's not. We are safe. We have each other. You are safe. I'm not going to put you in a situation where you feel like that. You are safe. And then slowly, like, I started to get less anxious. And it's amazing, like, how, because it's just your inner child reacting, right? And feeling unsafe. And they're like, oh no, I'm not feeling safe. And then they start panicking and being now this version that I can be like, you are safe. This is not, what happened in the past is not happening right now. You are safe. You are safe with me, and I will make sure of that. Because that's basically what it is. It's just my inner child going back to a habit, a pattern that they were used to when they were a child, and being scared it's happening again. So I had to just remind my inner child that, nope, we're good. It's not happening. This is not the same thing. We are good. It feels like the same thing because it's similar. It's a pattern, but we're bigger now. We don't actually have to deal with it. So just doing that was amazing. And that's the thing too, is when you're learning to love yourself, you need to love all versions of yourselves. I have versions of myself that I'm not like, I was like, ooh, that's a little cringy that I did that. Or like, it was not like the best thing that I thought I should be doing, that version. There's, my teen version that thought they knew it all. They don't. We learned that. But those versions, like, you gotta love them because that was like you, and you did the best you could at that time with what you knew. And the cool thing about going back and like thinking about your past versions and like accepting them and loving them, it also can rewrite the past a bit too. Because then when you're like thinking about these things that you did, or why you did it, or why these people did these things to you, why you were hurt that way, like, depending whatever the situation is, as you get older, you develop new perspectives and you get wiser. And when you develop that new perspective, you can go back and look at your past things and be like, oh, that's why this happened. It had nothing to do with me personally. It had to do with, because of that person, what they were going through. And when you start doing that, it changes the dynamic of what you went through. And it's not the story that you continuously tell about your past starts to change into a different perspective that you're putting out there. You changed your story, hence rewriting your past. You get to tell whatever story you want it to be now with this new perspective and understanding of what happened in that past. It's a very beautiful thing. I think that everybody should sit down with themselves, grab a journal, and, give love to all the past versions of themselves. I give love to my past versions all the time. and thank them for like, thank you for being so strong in that moment. Like, I know that was not easy for you. Thank you for pushing through and getting on the other end so I can be this person who I am now. It is amazing. And then thank you to my future self for, you know, coming back and having conversations with me. Like, it's all, I know it sounds like probably a little bit weird, but it honestly is a beautiful way to heal. It's a beautiful way to learn about yourself. It's a beautiful way to stay focused on what goals you want in your life, who you want to be. And that's why I think it's super important to just like, you know, get to know your future self and visualize that. Get to know your past self and visualize that, and how they can come in and help you in things that you're going in the present moment. Because if I didn't have those moments where I was like, okay, what would my future self be? I would have reacted in a way that was like more my present self. But my future self's more wiser. So in thinking about what my future self would do, I can help my present self by saying like, okay, well, maybe this is a better choice because we're wiser and we know that this is better. It is very cool how that all works. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, whoever is on the other side of this video, because I think it really helps with healing and knowing about yourself, and then knowing where you want to go in life. Who would your future self hang out with? What would your future self do? Like, you know, and I have such like a clear vision of like the habits of what my future self would be, that it's so much easier to become that person, the person that I want to be, because I have the habits of what they would do. Now all I have to do is do those habits, and then I become that person. So I very much recommend it. I think it really changed a lot of my life, to be honest, and it fast-tracked me a lot to where I want to be. I feel like, again, like my life has just been, it's completely different, and I'm changing every day at a rapid pace that it's exciting. I love it. But I think that's something that, you know, is a good thing to change your perspective on how to look at life. That you can look at life as like different realities, and your versions are in these different realities. And when you're in these different realities, you attract certain things and certain people. And I know the past versions of me were very hurt versions, so they attract a lot of people who were hurt and situations that were hurt. Now the new version and my present self don't attract that, and it is amazing seeing that. And it's a really good way to self-reflect and be like, okay, like this is why these situations happened, and to understand and have a new perspective. But now I think I'm going in circles with talking, and I'm excited to see what my future self will talk about in a year after I've completed a year of videos. But that's all I have right now, and yeah. Oh, and I also have my mocktail, so that's good too.